Welcome to the We Rock DM podcast, your source for all things digital marketing. Join hosts Daniel Bisett and Tricia Ulberg as they explore the latest trends and share their expertise on how to succeed in the digital age. Tune in for expert advice on search engine optimization, social media marketing, and content strategy. We make kick-ass stuff kick-ass. So join us and learn how to rock your digital marketing game. Thank you for joining us on We Rock DM Amplified. I'm Daniel Bisett with my co-host Tricia Ulberg, and today we have an exceptional guest with us, Zach Hale, the founder of Dune Automotive and Pro Auto Films. Zach, it's a pleasure to have you here. We're excited to learn about the incredible work you're doing in the automotive industry, but today we're diving deeper into your digital marketing strategy. We'll explore how you connect with your target audience and the innovative approaches you're using to drive growth for both Dune Automotive and Pro Auto Films. We'll also discuss some of your business goals and share our expert advice on digital marketing strategies that hopefully can help you achieve them. Whether it's leveraging social media, optimizing for search engines, or engaging customers through content marketing, we've got a lot to cover. So let's get started. Zach, can you begin by telling us a little about your journey and how you got into the automotive business?
Yeah, so my career in the automotive business started when I was doing sales. I was doing door-to-door knocking, and I got real sick of it. And some guy that was in my church asked me, like, hey, come try this. I need somebody to help install this film for me. And I had no clue what it was. And the first day I walked in, he was working on a Lamborghini, and I was like, well, I'd like to work on these cars. This sounds fun. And the rest is history. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I've owned a couple of my own shops. One's failed, and just keep pushing through and just growing my knowledge and just helping people protect their assets. And it's been an interesting ride, that's for sure.
Very cool. If
Excellent.
I may, I would like to tell our audience how Zach became a guest on our podcast. So we are actually both in the Masters of Business Creation program at the University of Utah, and so we're colleagues, right? We're student colleagues, and is that the correct term? And so with the first semester we just both finished. Ended and in just like a couple weeks ago. And a lot of that semester was focused on strategy and figuring out who our target audience is. And so I think that would be a really interesting place to start, because really when we start helping clients with digital marketing strategy, that is where we start. We start asking a lot of questions about your target audience, and we kind of tailor your strategy to your target audience. And Zach, I see that you actually have two different businesses. It looks like you have both the educational side of your business and the actual detailing. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we just developed the educational side. We've been running a shop for a little over a year now, and we just wanted to be able to, as owners, step away, especially for me. The reason why I hopped onto this business with my co-founder was that he wanted to get into it. I was starting to step away from it, and just because I was getting tired of having to do all the manual labor. I've already had two fairly successful businesses, sold one off, and one failed, but I mean, it's a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to figure out how I can step away, but still have a presence in the shop. And so that's where this training program has come around. And so we've now developed a bunch of SOPs and operations so that everybody and anyone could learn how to do this film or these films for cars. So we do window tint, PPF, all sorts of stuff that deals with car care. And now we're able to train our own employees with that, which is awesome. It makes my life a lot easier. And then it's all online so that they can keep I just say, hey, like, you're lacking here, point them out to a video, they go watch it instead of me having to go and sit there and instruct with them. But if he's not getting the concept, I can go do that. That's no problem. But now I can sell it and help other people like me and my business partner so that they can step away, because the majority of shops that do these type of films are mom and pop shops. So the owners then day in, day out, he's usually the owner operator. So he is the one answering the phone calls. He's the one installing the film. He's doing everything, and it's taxing. And I want to be able to help them step away. And so this training program it has multiple businesses in itself, because we're going to help shops, and then we're going to also help people develop new skills for hobbying, because a lot of people love working on their own cars, and so they can be able to install like professionals on their own vehicles, or to help somebody find a career in this industry, because it's very close knit, and you have to go to, per se, a big film company to get training. And I just don't agree with that. Every shop owner can train somebody, they just choose not to because they don't have the time. And so giving this frees up people's capital so that they can, they don't have to put so much effort into becoming an installer, and then also helping business owners get more employees and train their own employees so they're not wasting all their time. And so that's how all this came around. Just one business building on top of another, and it's just the flow of how things go. And I'm sure you guys have had similar things come up like that, where you just one idea leads to another, and it just keeps compounding. So,
we do that a lot.
We're serial entrepreneurs, or as I like to say, polypreneurs. So my question to you then, firstly, Zach, would be, of the two, which one stands to make you the most money or provide you the most freedom?
Probably online training will do the most, but they're going to be intertwined, because we're going to use the online training to franchise our mom and pop shops and help other people step away with that. So it's kind of a trick question for me. They're both going to make me good money, and they're going to be intertwined and working together, but definitely less effort on my side for the trainings, because I only have to do the training videos once or twice, and then once they're out there, they're out there. And now we're in the process of, my business partner is now fully up and trained now, and he can do all the videos, and now I can just critique him and help him do better. And so I don't have to be there as much anymore. And whereas in the shop aspect, I have to be there for it to run and do everything, because I am kind of that mom and pop guy where I'm the sole operator. We're just working on getting a couple more people so I don't have to be here. And yeah.
That's a really cool idea. So can I ask, have you trained anybody, or is this just an idea you're working on right now? Have you actually implemented this yet?
I haven't trained anyone through the video courses yet. I've had one of my buddies that's interested in learning how to do the films start looking over it just as a tester. And then I hired a third-party company to come video all of it and help us build out the SOPs. He's actually one of my good friends. So he was interested in actually learning it a little bit. And by the end of the training courses, just making the videos, both of them were able to install a full hood and a bumper, which are some of the hardest parts about a car, without flaws. And that was through a week's worth of just going over things, where typically an installer takes 6 months to be able to do stuff like that on their own.
Wow.
Good quality level.
Cool. So this is kind of that you're just starting this out. This is kind of a new branch, and you're just getting it going, and you're going to start promoting it soon.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But I have trained 4 other people how to install, but just not through the videos, just on my own. And it does take time. Like I said, like 6 months for them to be able to do their own thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so from a marketing standpoint, Have you started any paid marketing for either of your businesses?
We do run paid ads through Instagram and Facebook for the actual brick and mortar shop. We're just
Okay.
trying to get everything finalized for the trainings, and then we'll start running those hopefully in the next week or two is our goal.
As far as running those ads, are you using the Facebook Business Manager, or are you just boosting posts?
We did do the Facebook Manager, and it kind of screwed up our Instagram ads, and so we went back to just doing it solely through Instagram because Facebook's algorithm is different for some reason, and even though they're the exact same company, yeah, it didn't
Different.
make sense to us, and so they're completely different markets, I guess. And so it messed up that. So we went back to solely focusing on the Instagram one, building all that out, and then pushing on top of actually running ads. And then Facebook, we are kind of in that testing stage of keeping them completely separate and running them differently. So we're learning how to market better on Facebook. We went from,
Good.
I think it was like 30 to 40 leads per day. Then once we implemented the Facebook one, it dropped down to zero, just right off the bat. And we don't know how it screwed up so much, but it really did throw a kink in the
Oh,
wrench. So in the
And
pipe, I
did
should say.
you these leads that you're getting 30 to 40 of, have you recovered? Are you back? Like since you kicked Facebook to the curb and went back to Instagram, or have you not tested it in a while?
We are back to a good flow, but we
Okay.
are going to slow it down a little bit, just because we are opening up a new shop in California and we want to put more of our effort into that one instead of the one up in Salt Lake. And so we didn't put as much money into it. So we probably, percentage wise, I think we did catch back up, but number wise, we haven't just because we haven't put as
Sure.
much effort into it. Yeah.
Right. And these leads, how many of them have turned into clients? If you're getting 30 to 40 a day, we're talking about 1,000 a month. How many new
Yeah.
clients are you getting?
So Utah has a very interesting market for
Okay.
especially for film. It's pretty oversaturated, and everyone is pretty much calling just for or reaching out for pricing, and then it's a bid war. So we're averaging probably out of that 1,000 leads, we're doing terrible on capturing it, and I think that's somewhere where we need to focus on capturing and doing better with it.
Okay.
But uh, yeah, we're probably only getting sealing the deal on 30 to maybe 20 customers a month on that.
Okay.
It's not very good on
Um,
capturing. And that would be
so,
more on my business partner's side.
well,
He's
I
the
mean,
one handling the phones on that.
I'm looking at your website, and for those of you that are listening, not watching, I'm gonna tell you it's Dune, Dune, automotive.com. And hang tight. That's the wrong button. Share that thing. And so while we're looking at your website and talking about your website, I'm a little bit curious if one of the sticking points in a saturated market is pricing. Is there a reason you're not incorporating pricing on your website?
Yes, because it can be very negotiable on it's not so we price out
It's fluid.
by amount of square footage of film that's being used, and so each car
Okay.
can vary a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
there is a general price that we already know, and most people do know in the industry for like a full front or bumper or certain things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But uh,
is do you? So I'm just wondering from a strategy point of view. Do you feel like if people knew that your course was like attached to your other business, like you are have already established yourself as professionals, with Dune Automotive, you really know what you're talking about. Do you think it would make sense to kind of integrate your two businesses saying that you as a professional over here in this industry are now offering this course, rather than keeping them separate, because I could see a lot of people. I can see ways where you actually could be targeting the same target audience in that perspective. Does that make sense? Like I'm wondering
Yeah.
what the strategy is by keeping them separate.
Yeah. So the main reason why we decided to keep them separate was we didn't know if we were going to keep Dune Automotive going during the process of all this. Uh,
Oh,
just because that it wasn't the brick and mortar is going to keep going, but we were thinking about changing the name of Dune Automotive to Pro Auto Films or to a different name altogether. And then we ended up keeping the name to eventually franchise it. And so there's still opportunity to change. And the main reason that we kept it separate is so that when we do go out and start franchising Dune Automotive, people aren't going to be thinking that Pro Auto Films is all about franchising and you're going to have to be franchising with us. And so it's just a long-term strategy goal. Is we're just trying to capture people that want to be on their own still and do their own thing, but we are going to be growing and building up our bigger brand, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
How do you prove that you are experts and authorities if you're not connecting yourself to a legitimate provider?
yeah.
Yeah. Just by experience, and we will have a partnership with Dune, if that makes sense, saying that this is, we're all from Dune and stuff like that, but we're just not going to be putting the names, combining them and doing it all under one entity at
No,
this
yeah,
time.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think, I
But
think you should
there
keep
will
them
definitely be a
separate that way. Yeah.
partnership between the two. Yeah.
It
I
would be
do
nice
think
to
that
see some social proof, like
big.
Yeah.
Dune Automotive is a user client of ours, right? Or a
hmm
sponsor of
And
ours,
then
or something, and then as you collect
exactly.
more brick and mortars, you can incorporate them onto your
Yeah.
website. Hmm.
And then we do have other, and this is another reason why we didn't connect it, because big film industries like to keep their name on certain on
Oh,
businesses. So
away
when
from,
you,
yeah.
so
Mm.
so let's say I do Expel Film, or so one shop I did was their Expel. Expel doesn't want you touching anybody else's film. They don't want you
Yeah.
teaching film. They don't want you doing any of that. So if I went and did that with Pro Auto Films, then you would be very strict to one film. Where we're trying to step away from that and give everyone access to almost any film that they want, so that they can have opportunity to grow. Uh, and so it's just you want to kind of stay away from the big film people, just in that aspect, because they will come and say, "Oh, you're teaching people on, let's say, Suntech, which is another big film brand, and your shop's not supposed to be using Suntech films. So what are you doing?" And so if we keep them separated in that aspect, we're not going to have a problem jumping between different films and showing the differences and pros and cons. And there, like you said, there is definitely going to be a partnership between the two of them. And we're still trying to figure out the exact way of doing that. Um, and it will be in there, but we're keeping them separate for purposes of being able to either team up with other training services through bigger brands, or just making sure that we don't get tied down and get stuck to fine tune to only one film, because there's probably 10 to 15 different film brands. And once you sign up with one, they don't want you touching any others unless you're
Mm.
going to breach their contract, especially with some of the bigger names in the industry. And so that's one way to keep us to be able to work with everybody, is saying, hey, we're keeping our hands clean. We're not part of a shop per se.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have there's a lot of marketing challenges here for you. I mean, you seem
Yeah.
to have a lot of things that you have to kind of work around. This is going to be a challenge to figure out how to get those all integrated. But I do agree with Daniel that if you could, I mean, your course website is missing cred, right?
Yes.
I don't even see where to, like an about page, like who to find out who's behind this certificate program, right? And then it
Yeah.
just feels like if you could attach that to your other business somehow through some, whatever partnership, that you could be targeting a lot of the same people, the same target audience for some of these two products. So that's just a marketing perspective that I have.
That's great insight. I do appreciate that. That's good insight for me.
Yeah. Very cool. So speaking of target audiences, that's something that we had talked a lot about in the last semester of our course, right? So what are your future plans for advertising? I know you said that you've already been doing some Instagram ads, that you haven't started advertising your certificate program yet. What are your plans?
Yeah. Plans. So we've looked at some of the course gurus or whatever, or scammers or whatever you want to call them through YouTube and all these other ones. And as everyone keeps calling them scammers, but people keep buying the programs. They keep buying the courses. They keep wanting to learn. So it might be we keep leaning towards kind of copying their strategy, but making it more realistic and not pitching that you're going to make millions of dollars. It's more just pitching. You can learn a new career. You can enjoy your career that you're in, and just making it more realistic, I guess, than what these other guys are doing, but following their same strategies, going on the same social platforms, and not really doing mail outs, just doing straight social media, pushing it that way, and linking up with some content creators that already use. We've had a couple use our shop already to wrap their car, and we've done stuff with them in the past. And so using them to say, hey, these guys this is who we trust to use their thing. So you should trust them to teach you how to work on their cars type deal. So teach you how to work on your cars is what I'm saying, is like that partnership deal is what it's all coming back down to. So
what I'm hearing is, so once again, you're talking about credibility. That's how you're going to differentiate yourself from your competitors, is by proving your credibility and your expertise, right? So once again, I really think that's going to be really important for your website, for your course website, is to establish that credibility, especially if you're going to be building campaigns that potentially lead back to your website. And that is the biggest thing I see missing. I go to your course homepage and I really don't see anything about who's behind this, right? So it feels like that's your biggest strength, really, in all of your businesses, is your expertise and your experience and your credibility. And that's something that you could really be focusing on more in both on your website presence and in your advertising as a whole.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll definitely implement that, because I mean that is one thing that we've been thinking of, is how to make ourselves look more credible and more likely to choose that. And I think that will definitely help out with what you guys are saying.
Yeah, and your course I see is $6.99. So I mean that's an investment. People are definitely going to want to know why they should be making an investment of that size, right? So I think it would really help.
For sure. And I mean, $6.99 is cheap comparative to other training courses in this field, which is crazy to think about. When you go look at the in-person trainings, they're minimum $1,200 or more. They're only 3 days, and then you have to fly out to the location where they're at. So you're spending room and board while you're there. So it can total up to $2,000 to $3,000 pretty quick, really easily.
Wow.
So we're kind of the package deal there. But we do need to prove credibility.
Something I feel is missing is along the kind of credibility line. It might be one thing that you're connected to X corporation, but another thing is from an end user. how does this course work? What does it look like? I know you have a how it works, but those are static images with very basic steps. It might be nice to see inside one of the trainings, right? With a video clip, a short 30-second clip of this is how you scrub out the air bubbles, use this tool and blah, blah, blah. And it's somebody doing it. Then I can see the quality of the recording. I might be able to go into the platform a little bit and see the transcript that's with the recording, and maybe the follow-up questions that solidify the learning from that module, and just kind of really get an experience of your course that tells me this is legit. This is exactly what I'm looking for, and this is enough. I don't need a face-to-face because I've got this. And you do reference, having one-on-one coaching, so that's great.
Yeah.
But again, it's a stock photo, static image of a Zoom. It doesn't really tell me what it feels like, what it looks like. So if you can pull back the curtain for those who might be interested, it might make it feel a little bit more legitimate and a little bit more credible.
All right. Yeah. No, so I'm actually going up to Salt Lake next week to do a lot of that stuff that you were mentioning. And so this was just a very base site. We haven't pushed it out yet. And so, that's we're drawing up a lot of marketing materials, getting stuff together to put on the website more. And then we're going to do some of the things that you mentioned. So I guess I'm just a step behind, but catching up.
Yeah.
Well, you're just starting.
But you guys are giving me really great insight to be able to make it way better than what I could imagine doing it myself. So
super. On your website for Pro Auto Films, you have a button called My Library. What's that supposed to do for me?
So once you get access to it, it's your courses. So it's your library of courses. So you can add courses on. So once you get a course, it's there for the rest of your life. So if you ever need a refresher, you can always look back at it. And then if you want to add, so say you did the PPF one, and you want to add window tint, now you have 2 different courses. So it's just building up a library of things.
Both of those items link to the same place. I would choose one.
Yeah.
Members or student login or just login. Because my library to me made me think, okay, are we going to see a portfolio of, the work that these teacher trainers have completed over time? So maybe that would be something that's nice. These are, the last 40 vehicles that we worked on, and have, I guess you might have to have the permission of the owners, but I can only imagine looking at your Instagram that you've got some really great footage, stills or otherwise, that could really help this kick off, right? Again, more demonstration and proof that y'all are legit, and what I'm going to learn is going to be how to take care of that car. And oh snap, I also have that car, so I know that what I'm going to learn is going to work for me, right? So some little nuggets, little ideas here and there.
You guys are giving me a wealth of nuggets, so I have to keep typing them in my phone while trying to pay attention and keep up with you guys.
Yeah. And you said that you're still working on your website. Definitely think about your navigation, what people are going to want to see up there. What Daniel said, you don't really need both of those links up there. Login is probably enough. And again, having an about page, I think, would be really important for you. You know what I do really like? I love this how it works section you have with this different steps. I think that is really helpful. And I also really like your facts section. I was looking at that a lot before we hopped on the podcast. I'm like, this is helping me understand what this course is about. So that's really good. That's good to have on there. Are you also thinking are you hoping to get some good SEO strategy in place with your website? Are you hoping that people are going to find you organically through search? Have you thought about your SEO strategy?
I haven't dove in too much on SEO strategy, just because I think most of these courses sell better online than they like through social media than they do on SEO strategies. But I could definitely implement that to make it easier for our customers that are reaching out to the bigger film companies to get the trainings, that they can find ours for cheaper, more obtainable, easier, and go more in depth than what these other film companies are doing to train on their specific film. So
Well,
I think that could be big. I just haven't really looked into it too much.
Well, what I meant by that is, do you want your website? So somebody who isn't even attached to your other business in any way, somebody organically doing a search online for a course about what your program is about. Do you want your website to pop up first? Are you hoping to grab that target audience?
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so there's a lot of website. I mean, we could have a whole podcast about SEO for websites, but that is something you're going to really need to think about. And is this Pro Auto Films that's also built on WordPress.com? Is that right?
No,
I can't tell. What platform is this built on?
it's built on Kajabi's.
Okay, this is something you're going to want to have to think about. You're going to want to think about the way your website is built is directly correlates with how well you perform in terms of SEO. And so things that will be picked up are things like keywords. And oh my gosh, Daniel, there's so many things to talk about. You give the list. You're better at naming off the things. There's so many things.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a ton to look at, but I think what I was trying to do was pull up my my report for PPF.
Oh, perfect. This is a good way to describe it.
When you're building, you're choosing your tools of how to build your website. Those tools have an impact on your performance. Now, the performance for mobile for your Pro Auto is pretty poor, but for this is the mobile. For mobile, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So I know that this is more like a conceptual splash page-esque, a little bit more than a splash page, to be fair, but it's still in the infancy stage. When you really think, okay, let's go to market with this, I would recommend maybe going with a different build provider than Kajabi, simply because performance is brutal. Now, you probably can go in and tinker to improve some of those things, and wherever you have it hosted, that's going to have an impact as well. But your website is not overly complicated, so it should be performing. I mean, you don't have any video, you don't have carousels. These things, are usually the typical culprits for slowing things down. You don't have any of that, and we're not in the 80s, so we should maybe look at alternatives.
Okay.
But going beyond the performance, going back to the actual website itself, I would recommend maybe not using a single page as your solution. So here you have everything on one page.
Yeah.
And what Tricia was talking about from a search engine optimization perspective, if somebody is looking for a PPF course and they want to know about an online aspect of a PPF course, you have that content here. But so Google could use your website in the search result page. But when they click it, it's not going to take them to that dedicated section. It's going to take them to the entire website. And they're not interested in all of this stuff. They just wanted to know the question about online aspect of it, right? And then once they've learned about the online course, then maybe they want to know more about the how it works, or maybe have frequently asked questions. So I would recommend breaking this up into dedicated pages. And I think that that will help the user experience for people who are new to what you are providing. Others who were referred to, proautofilms.com, they have a different investment and a different reason for why they're accessing your website. They're actually coming in to verify what they heard, right? Or validate it. And so they're probably more willing to start from the top and work their way down. They're not necessarily coming in with a very specific question, but anyone who is coming from a search result asked a question, and that page that they land on needs to answer it first and foremost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think Dune Automotive is built on the same strategy, right? Oh no, you have dedicated pages. Okay, so it was just the PPF. So I would recommend maybe consider changing the tool that it's built on and breaking it into separate pages of dedicated content.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
those scores that you saw, Zach, just so you understand what that is, that's a tool that we use called Lighthouse. It's Chrome, right? Lighthouse. And those scores are hugely important in terms of your website being found in a search. If you want people to find your website just in a search, those are hugely important scores. So yeah. So other things there, again, we could have a whole podcast about this, but thinking about the way your website is built is really important. And you want to make sure that your performance scores are high, because if there's anything with your website that is making it difficult to load, like we'd have to take a deeper dive into why your performance scores are so low. But any dings like that could prevent your website from showing up in a search at all. So they're really important, or at least it would be several pages back. Like it would make you undiscoverable.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
All right.
And the main reason that we did use Kajabi was because it's where we host all of our training software. And so it just made it flow a little bit easier. So that's a good piece of advice to make it so it flows.
Yeah.
So it makes it work better and function better. So
next thing I want to talk about just very briefly, and this is probably my last point, is your social media game. If these courses sell better in the social space, then you probably need to have a really strong social game. I love what you're doing. Like, they're very visual, right? But there are a couple issues that want maybe to have some reconsideration. Okay, so you look at this and you can see it, but do you see how you have yellow text over a white vehicle with a white background? That text is inaccessible for anybody who is trying to read and they have like visual impairments. I don't have visual impairments. I'm wearing my contacts and I still can't read that text until it pops on a darker background, right? And there are several instances where that's happening. We have white on white. We have black on white, perfect. And then we have white on white, and it just kind of disappears. So I would just be a little bit more mindful of like the text that I'm adding on top of the video. Okay. And there's a lot to learn about, like what types of content you should add in the post and whether or not you should use hashtags in the post or in the first comment. There's a lot that you can unpack with that, but I think that if you make it a little bit more accessible, maybe the algorithm will pick up on it and share it a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of input from me.
Yeah, and that these are things that a designer could help you with. That this is accessibility is a really good point. I don't know if you noticed when we were giving your lighthouse scores that accessibility is one of your scores, and I think it was at 80.
Yeah.
Accessibility is becoming super huge. There, it's really important that you get good accessibility scores on your websites. There are actually people getting sued for not having their websites fully accessible. Go to any large organization's website these days, and down in the footer, you'll probably see their accessibility policy for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it is about contrast. It's about making it more readable for people who have visual impairments. And let me tell you, Zach, as a designer, this has been a hard pill for me to swallow. And Daniel will tell you that for a long time, I did not want to have to adhere to some of these rules because I wanted to make things the color I wanted to make them. Right. And I have learned that I can no longer think that way, that I actually do have to be more diligent in making my website designs accessible. It's just becoming very important these days. So just something to think about. And again, that does also, as Daniel just said, affect the algorithm. Like if the algorithm does not feel like some of your images are accessible, they won't get shown. The reach will decrease. It'll affect your reach. So it's really important.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I did not know about accessibility that much, so that's a whole new topic I need to dive into.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot,
to improve
right?
on too, so.
There's a lot.
Yeah. The simple thing is with regard to readability, make sure that there's high contrast. Dark text on light background, light text on dark background, and keep it simple that way. That is not the only aspect of accessibility, but that's the one that we were speaking of just then. There are a ton of them, but they do play a significant role in our marketing and the professionality of our business. And as your business grows, which is a great thing, it becomes more vulnerable for lack of compliance. But also as it grows, you become more aware and are able to take measures to improve the accessibility. So it's a good thing. I fight in the corner of accessibility all day long. Tricia is right. I'm like, yep, nope, that's a 99. That's not okay.
Yeah.
It needs to be 100. And
Yeah.
she's like, it's 1 point. I'm like, it's not 100, right? Because I want anyone and everyone to be able to access my creation or my client's creation. I don't want anyone left at the front door because they couldn't get up the front step.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and this has been so hard as far as branding goes too. I don't know if you have a branding style guide yet, but that's something to think about with your branding. So often we'll have clients who already have a branding established and a color palette, and they don't work. And we have to tell them, yeah, we got to change your colors a little bit here so things are accessible. And they don't always like to hear that. So anyway, it's becoming more and more of a challenge, and that's something that we need to take on. It's important.
So, Zach, as we wrap this up, from a automotive perspective and working in your industry, if somebody is interested in getting into your into your industry, what kind of advice would you offer them as they get started?
If they're interested in getting into it, definitely go to a shop and see how it is. Shop work is very different than sitting at a desk. It's way more labor intensive, especially in auto films. It's art. Tricia probably knows more about this than most as a designer, that there's art where you can take a photo and have it or you're molding it with your hands. And working with film, you're hands-on all the time. You have to make it look good, make it pristine. And You just have to be kind of more artistic, and you have to understand the artistic feel for that to be able to be a good installer. And the only way you'd be able to know that is going to a shop and checking it out and seeing how they apply the film or how they work with it. Some shops are very open and minded about allowing you to see the process and actually uh, some will give you like a little sample piece that you can just throw on your car, and it won't cover anything. It'll just let you play around with it and see if you like it or not. But others are very closed off. They won't allow you to do anything, and they want to keep their systems secret. So, uh, there's plenty of stuff all over YouTube and Instagram that shows what the film's like to work with, and just research it, look it up, go to a shop, see if you just say you're interested in learning about it, and see what they say. And that's kind of how I got into it. Is just shop owner said he needs somebody to install film. I had no clue what it was, so it piqued my interest, and now I'm here.
Very
So
cool.
it's just, yeah, just go research it and dive in. And if you need any help, just reach out. That's what I like to do. I like to help people, and that's why I want to step away from my business more, is to be able to help people grow their own businesses. And that's why I joined the MBCs, because I want to go a more consulting route and help people grow their own businesses and go into more of a business creation mode. But for right now, I'm sticking with my business and growing that, just so I have a proof of concept and moving forward with that. So,
Tricia, do you want to finish up?
I'm just looking forward to what's coming next in our program together, and I think, Zach, I think you have some really great ideas. I love this certificate program idea. I think it's awesome. And I love that you're in the program because you want to help other people grow their businesses. I mean, that's more or less what Daniel and I love as well, right? That's what we do for people. We love to help other people grow their businesses. So we relate to you, and we're really excited to see what happens next for you. I think that you're going to do great.
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for taking time and talking with me.
Mm-hmm.